have a CHRP paper here 009, which is Human Resource Development. It is a paper that was done last year, June 2023. And without wasting time, let's have a look at what it entails. We have the possible answers for each and every question. So our number two reads as follows. Number 2A, evaluate ways in which training programs may enhance employee retention in an organization. Evaluate ways in which training programs may enhance employee retention in an organization. So first of all, you need to stay with the employees for a long period of time, basically because employees find it contented at organization, or they find job satisfaction within organization, and so many other more. There can be so many factors that can make employees to be retained within an organization. So we want to have a look at how does training make employees become retained within the organization, or how does training enable organizations to retain employees. That is what we want to have a look at. And we talked about training and development, and said training and development is something, or is a process that most organizations are embracing, because it will help you elevate your performance and productivity, both for yourself as an organization and for the people who work for you, which are who are the employees. That is why you get to see that most organizations are embracing training, because employees are on the run looking for organizations that can help them develop, so that they become more contented and satisfied with the jobs, the roles and the responsibilities that they are allocated with. So training is not an exemption when it comes to retaining of the employees. So how does this training make employees to be retained, or how does this training enable organizations to retain employees? Number one, training makes employees to feel empowered. And that is why I say that most employees nowadays, when they're looking for employment opportunities, they try to look out and get to associate themselves with companies that could basically develop them or train them, so that they can increase on their capabilities, on their skills, abilities, and so on. So organizations that are not taking initiatives to offer training opportunities to the organization, to the employees, definitely are losing a lot. So the moment you offer training opportunities to employees, you make them feel empowered, you make them have that urge and zeal to continue working with you, of which that can make them to be retained within your organization. When I feel like I'm empowered at this place, I feel like I'm getting the necessary support that I need in this place, then why should I look for another place? I will only look for another place, or I only look for another job or another company if I feel that this company is indeed not doing whatever I need or meeting up with my expectations. So through training, you'll make employees to feel more empowered. Through training, you'll make employees to feel like they get the necessary support they need from the organization. And when they have that feeling of that empowerment, that they're being empowered and they're getting the necessary support that they expect from the organization, it will be very difficult for you to lose these employees. So basically, training makes employees feel empowered, and this can be a reason as to why employee will stay and be retained in your organization. Number two, employees feel wanted. They have a sense of belonging. They know this is the place to stay, because this organization is indeed helping me achieve my goals. The organization is indeed helping me achieve my dreams. As much as I'm here to help the organization become productive or successful in its endeavors, then it is a two-way thing. The organization also is here to help me basically reach my dream. So the moment you make employees feel wanted within the organization, you make them feel that they are part of you and not a separate entity, then definitely you make them become more motivated and basically want to stay within the organization and work for you, or engaged with this organization for long. And then also it makes employees feel valued, basically because they know I'm here, but this particular company sees the potential that I have. And the moment the company sees the potential that I have, that is when they'll initiate things to do with training. So the moment you feel valued, the moment you feel like you are at the right place, you are at home, you're working, but you feel like you have that balance between work and life and everything seems to go your way, definitely would want to leave that particular organization. So through training initiatives, organization make the employees to become more comfortable in their roles, in their designations, and that can make them to be retained. And also training helps to improve the skills of the employee. You'll be able to learn, you'll be able to explore, you get the necessary exposure through the training activities. And the moment to understand that this organization is really taking that initiative to help you improve on your skills, to help you improve on your abilities and experiences, definitely that can be a reason that can hold you in that specific company. And then we have number 4, training also increases job satisfaction. There's nothing good like an employee becoming satisfied with the roles or with the job that he or she basically has. The moment they have job satisfaction, that means wherever I am, I'm contented. Everything that is happening within the organization, I'm so much okay with it. And the moment you have that feeling of satisfaction through the job that you have, you will not have the guts to leave the organization. You'll always want to stay there, not unless otherwise. So these are some of the reasons. I can see I have up to number 6 here. Training gives people a new perspective. A new perspective basically because you go to upskill, you reskill, you refresh, and at the end of the day, you become a well version of who you are currently, because training will instill something in you. Training will impart something on you, so you'll never remain the same. So as a result, it gives you a new perspective of the job and the roles and the responsibilities you hold within the organization. So all these factors of all these points that we just discussed could make an employee to become retained within an organization, and they can only be achieved through offering coming up with initiative programs for training towards the employees. So that is number 2A. And then number 2B, it says, you needed to bold this. Just a minute, we're supposed to bold this so that you can differentiate between the question and the answers. So number 2B, there are certain learner characteristics that may influence the success of learning process. Outline such characteristics. Certain learner characteristics that may influence the success of the learning process. Outline such characteristics. So we talked about learning, and we said learning is basically receiving of knowledge or developing of skills. And name it, you can define it in any way, so long as you show that something good has been acquired through either experience or through training, through development, through exposure, through coaching, through mentoring, etc. So learning is a process that normally happens. And remember, we talked about a learning organization. So if you talk about a learning organization, that means it's an organization that basically pushes its employees to ensure that they keep on learning so that they can adapt to the changing environment, to the changing industry that we have. So when learning is a process, you need to have people whom you call learners who will be very much well collaborated and coordinated in order for the learning to be effective. So we need to have certain characteristics of learners, because the characteristics that learners have will definitely affect the learning process depending on what characters do they exhibit. So now, some of the characteristics of learners that may affect the learning process are as follows. These characteristics, you can either describe them in a positive way or in a negative way. The question is not specific. The question is just general. There are certain characteristics that affect learning process. So meaning the characters could be positive, the characters could be negative. So the moment we discuss them, we shall be looking them at both sides. So a good learner is the one who is eager to learn. If you have a learner who is eager and ready to learn, definitely the learning process will be affected in the positive way possible. But if it's the other way around, it will be affected in the negative way. So the moment we discuss a point, you look at it at both sides, because the question is just general. They have not said positive characteristics or negative characteristics. So that is what you need to understand. So a good learner is the one who is eager to learn. If you have learners who are eager to learn, if you have learners who are always willing and ready to learn, your learning process will be so smooth. But if it's the other way around, then that means your learning process will be very difficult. So that is number one. And then willingness to put in the required effort. Learning is a two-way thing. Learning is a two-way thing. You don't only expect from the trainer or from the person who is making you to learn, but also the person who's learning, he has a duty to put some sort of effort in order for the learning process to be effective. So if you cannot put that effort there, that means you cannot become a good learner. But if you can always try and put the effort required, then that means you can be a good learner. So when you talk of learning is a two process, don't always expect from the teacher. As much as you need the teacher to guide you, yes, but also a larger percentage or a larger effort should come from you as a learner. So willingness to put in the required effort will also influence the success of learning. If the learner is willing to put the required effort, learning will never be affected in a negative way. But if it's the other way around, then basically the outcome will also be negative. And then we have a learner. A good learner is also self-motivated. You need to motivate yourself to learn. You don't only wait for the teacher to come and motivate you to learn. No, you're not learning for the teacher, but you're learning for yourself. So you need to be the self-motivator. A good learner should be a self-motivator, because if you don't have this particular character, then it becomes so difficult for you to achieve. And then also we need to talk of persistent and consistency. You need to be persistent, you need to be consistent, whether it's in terms of attending the classes or attending the lectures, whether it's in terms of collaborating with the teacher once you're given assignments or once you're given some duties to do. Basically, how consistent and how persistent are you? Persistent and consistent definitely will help the teacher or will help the learning process to become to be a very effective one and a smooth one, and vice versa. And then respectful, yes, respect has to be there. You always need to respect your teacher. You always need to respect your trainer. That is the only way you can make the learning process to be smooth and effective. And then collaboration, always know how to collaborate well with the teacher, with your fellow learners. That will make the learning process a success. So these are some of the learner characteristics that may influence the success of learning process. So that is our number 2. Thank you. Let's meet in our next question for revision.